I'm Weyman Edwards. I'm a product of Tulsa, Oklahoma. I attended a segregated school system. My first introduction was at a segregated Catholic school, St. Monica's. I attended Carver Junior High School, which was segregated. And it was a very good learning experience. And one of the things that I really liked about it was we were given an opportunity to self-indulgent in educational aspects as well as social aspects. And we had wonderful teachers, all black, and they were constantly reminding us that although we were Negroes, that we were yet very important in the scheme of life. Anyway, after attending Carver Junior High School, I graduated and went to Booker T. Washington High School. Again, had a wonderful faculty, all black, and we had a principal whom sometimes I can quote him well, I can quote him the way he used to say to us every assembly date in high school, and that was on Thursdays. He would always say, "You are as good as the 10%, and you're better than the 90%. And we did not have a prayer as to what he was really referring to, but it was something that it was uplifting for someone to tell us that we were valuable in life. When I graduated from high school, I think it was on May the 27th, 1943. On June the 14th, I was taking the oath of office to defend the Constitution of the United States. Had no idea, what the Army was all about. Although they did give all of us opportunities, and everything was segregated. We met at a place called Akdar Temple, Akdar, and we were separated by race, and so, but after we had completed the examinations and so forth, they did give us an opportunity to select whether or not we wanted to go into the Army or the Navy. And I jokingly said to the person who asked me that question, I said, "I never learned how to walk on water, so I think I better choose the Army." Then they shipped us to Fort Belvoir, Virginia. Again, we were segregated. Toward the third week of November 1943, we were shipped out of Fort Belvoir to a port of embarkation in Virginia. No one told us where we were going, absolutely nothing. We boarded the troop ship. It took 11 days for us to sail from this port in Virginia, and we landed in Morocco. I've always jokingly said we never saw any combat in in Morocco. I said, but we did fight the sand fleas and scorpions. Lo and behold, we were notified that we were going to ship out of Oran. They didn't tell us where we were going. We ended up in the harbor of Naples, Italy. As we neared the harbor, it was January the 1st, and about 2 a.m. on January the 2nd, this troop ship was hit with about 2 torpedoes from a German submarine that they had not detected. It knocked us around like it was something else. When the first torpedo hit, the bow of it went up, then it went down, then the second torpedo, the bow went up again and went down, and we were looking for our rifles and everything else, gas masks. So we finally had to abandon that ship by way of a gangplank that was swung over to boats that had been sunken in the harbor at Naples by the Germans, I should say by the Nazis. And we literally leapfrogged over to the shore. When we got over there, we got a report that 200 men, all military policemen, were on the deck of the ship below the waterline, had perished. They moved us to what was known as Mussolini Stadium. And one thing I'll never forget, we were told we were going to have entertainment by Glenn Miller and his orchestra. I think that was supposed to have been on January the 4th, 1944. Glenn Miller never showed, and we heard that his plane had disappeared, and etc., and he could not be located. And so the next thing, we were gathering around in the stadium, and all of a sudden, they began yelling, incoming, incoming. We didn't know what incoming was. We found out later on. This German attack plane just came down and just began strafing the area. Fortunately, they had trenches dug around the area, and we hit the trenches. And since this was in January 1944, it was extremely cold. The trenches had frozen ice in them, but we didn't care, because that German, that Nazi pilot, he was really bent on getting us. We then found out why they were moving us. There was an area, it was nearing Rome, Italy, and it was, let's see, I forget the road to Rome, but the Germans had taken over, I should say the Nazis, they'd taken over a chapel that sat on a hill, and they had command of everything, so that and they had artillery that was something else, 88 millimeters, and they were very adept with it. We found out later on that it was the prisms that were connected to the gun that made them so accurate. But we were pinned down, and so Fifth Army could not move, and we had to go ahead to restore a bridge, and we didn't have adequate firepower. And so we would have a squad with their M1 rifles and to serve as anti-aircraft. We had one 50 caliber machine gun, and they used that for anti-aircraft. But once we would fire rifles, if we could get off maybe 3 or 4 rounds, and the rifles would clock. The 30 caliber machine guns were really unaffected as far as these attack planes were concerned, and they would clog. The 50 caliber, we only had one 50 caliber machine gun to use for anti-aircraft. It clogged up. But we were able to restore this bridge just temporarily, but before we could, the troops could be moved up, the Germans just had control of everything, and they were sending in planes like crazy, but they did not wish to damage that cathedral at Monte Cassino. My regiment was in the invasion of southern France. We went in by way of the town called Nice. Of course, we saw this. We thought it was pronounced nice, but it was not nice. We were on a LST, a landing ship tank, and the commander ran up our company. We don't know where the other companies were, but ran up on the beach and got ready to open the bow, and German, oh my God, artillery and rifle fire greeted us. We were told, get back into the LST, and so we did. And so went out into the Mediterranean, and we were involved in a huge storm out there, and it was something else. We said we would rather have taken our chances on land. But when we went back, we were able to get off the LST. We only had a half track. You know what that is? It's like a tank without a top. And one of our guys operating it, good Lord, he almost killed us. I've often wondered, we threatened to shoot him. But anyway, we were able to get settled down, and then we had to wait until we got the next order to move. Army operates so strangely, and in circumstances where we feel that they should do something a little bit more swiftly. We were headed toward Germany, but we had to cross a river in France. That the name of it was something that chilled us. It was Saint Die, but D-I-E, but they called it Saint Die. We saw so many dead bodies floating in the waters of that river. Good Lord Almighty. And then as we moved up toward this little town on the German and French border. Can't think of the name of it right now, but the people spoke a mixture of French and German. Again, the Army moved us up there, and then suddenly, without warning, a French tanker, he drove up in this big armored tank along, and oh yes, we took over a house. We were not going to stay out in the cold. Temperature dropped to I think it was 36 below zero. Found that we got the order to move in to Germany, and the Germans had knocked out the bridges, so we had to cross on pontoon bridges to get in there.
What year was that?
1945.
So it was towards the end of the war.
Right.
Were you in Germany when the war ended? Were you still
Yes.
serving? And how did you find out that the war ended, and how did you all react to it? How did you get that news?
Oh, boy. We were very happy. Some guys fired their rifles.
Were you always your own segregated unit?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Right. It was really something else. We sometimes we would talk about it, and most of the guys were from the deep South that were in the regiment, and they would wonder why are we over here and our people can't vote. When we were moved from Pforzheim, Germany, back into France, we went into a camp, and all of the camps were named after cigarettes. We moved into Camp Lucky Strike. It was Chesterfield, it was Camels, etc. We moved to Camp Lucky Strike. I forget how long we were there, and but it was in December, and they finally told us to get our equipment together and board the ship. And so we did just that. And I think it's Fort Dix, New Jersey. That's where we landed after 9 days on the ocean. I still have flashbacks. Not frequently, but I do have them. Because there's so many things I left out. We experienced so many things over there, and it was just a thing that at first we were resigned to not returning to the States alive.
I'm so glad we had a chance to honor your service, and you got to share the day with other veterans. And I know this wasn't easy for you.
No, when we were on the honors flight, there was, I think I was the only one that had served for a long period of time in Europe. But it was good, to be among the veterans and just to talk to them. Many of us chose not to recall a lot of things.
It has to be hard. And how many years has it been?
Well, I was honorably discharged on December the 28th, 1945.
85 years.
So,
85
It's
years. How old
been-
are you, sir?
96.
Sorry, I'm making noises into your,
I was drafted when I was 18.
I'm glad you're here with us.
So,
I'm glad
thank you.
You made it home. And I hope some of your memories are good ones. And I hope
Yeah.
you're proud, because you should be. We're honored to have you here with us.
Thank you.